The NBA is a stars-driven league. This is not a surprise. We all know that the top players in the league are the ones that are constantly competing for and winning championships. You need some transcendent talents, usually among the 5 best players, to really compete for a title. And while you need that, you also need a complete roster as well. You can't just have like 2 star players and a bunch of scrubs and expect to actually win a title. So I want to honor some role players in this video. I mean, if we remember the 2010 Lakers, Kobe Bryant was the main dude on that team, but if it wasn't for Trevor Ariza and his clutch 3-pointers, I don't know if they go on to win the championship. There's also Shane Battier of the Miami Heat days with LeBron, who his 3-point shooting as well as his defense was also a huge part of that Miami Heat team. And if we rewind time for the Miami Heat a little bit, Udonis Haslem in the mid-2000s as a defender and someone who could still contribute on offense. These are the type of role players that I want to honor, the guys like this in the modern day NBA with the role player all-star team. And while I'm breaking this down for you, we're going to look at shoot-around from the GOAT Brian Scalabrine. So we're going to do 5 starters, 5 backup players, as well as 3 wild cards, 3 guys who might not have the total package as a role player, but they have one distinct ability that still gets them on the team. And in case you haven't figured it out yet, we're going to look for guys who can contribute on both sides of the floor, offensively, defensively. We also appreciate efficiency over here, so, well, I don't know if Jamal Crawford's going to be on this list. But let's begin, and we're going to start with the point guard spot. And our first candidate is Shaun Livingston, who as a backup point guard for the Golden State Warriors is a fine playmaker. He's also pretty damn efficient for a mid-range and scoring inside. Now, unfortunately, he's a potato when it comes to 3-pointers, but luckily for us, he never attempts it, so it's all good. He could definitely win this. There's also Matthew Dellavedova, whose calling card is defense. Previously on the Cavaliers and now a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, he can also hit an outside shot, although he really can't get his own shots off, but that's okay for this discussion. However, he also takes a lot of dumb floaters and, well, he's really got to stop doing that. Now, speaking of defense, Patrick Beverley is a step above Dellavedova as he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he's also a potential member of the role player all-stars. He can also stretch out to 3-point land, although that's about all he really can do because he doesn't shoot that well from the field. And while all these guys are good, we have to have one definitive winner here, and that is George Hill. The classic example of a point guard who does not need the ball in his hand, but when he does have it, he's making sure the offense is always running correctly. And let's not forget with George Hill, a very good defender in his own right, who can also still stretch the floor and be effective from 3. George Hill is the starting point guard on the Role Player All-Stars. Now you'd think for the 2-guard spot that Courtney Lee is the ideal guy because he can shoot from 3, and he's your classic 3-and-D role player who averages about 10 points per game. He's definitely up for consideration. Gary Harris is similar to Courtney Lee. He might be a bit better at getting his own shot off, but when we're talking about 3-point shooting as well as defense, Gary Harris and Courtney Lee, they're both pretty similar. But we do have a couple other play styles. We have a couple of gunners, actually, one of which being J.R. Smith, who can go off for 5 threes and a quarter if he wants to. There's also Kyle Korver. And both of these guys have similar games in that if you leave them open, there's a very good chance that 3 points are going up on the board. But if you ask them to do anything else, it's a little wishy-washy. There's also Tony Allen, who's a quality defensive player, but he doesn't really give you it on offense. The starting 2-guard is Alan Crabb of the Trailblazers, who is not the defender that Tony Allen is, but he's better than everybody else who's up for this at the moment. But he also shot 46% from the field and 39% from 3 last season. That's everything you want in a role player. And now as for his backup, a little bit of twist for you, Manu Ginobili, who's still very efficient for his 9 points per game off the bench. But he can still put the ball on the floor, he can occasionally beat someone off a dribble, he's in the pick and roll, he's good enough defensively. The bald spot of Manu is the backup shooting guard. Now for the small forward, I'm not even going to make you wait. Starting 3 is Andre Iguodala. He shoots 35% from 3, so you can't leave him open. He's also pretty damn comfortable when it comes to putting the ball on the floor and being able to hit a teammate for a bucket. And also, he's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. I'm talking lockdown gold badge status defensive player Andre Iguodala. He's by far and away the best 3-man. And if we're looking at a backup, well, there's Joe Johnson, who's listed as a small forward at this point. Always going to be able to put up points. There's also Lance Thomas, who was efficient from everywhere for the New York Knicks. I'm also looking at Evan Turner of the Celtics for his playmaking abilities and scoring inside. But the winner here is Luol Deng, who at this point in his career is a role player for his 12 points per game. Like Iguodala, can pretty much shoot from everywhere, can beat a big man off the dribble, quality defender, and he grabs you about 5 rebounds per game. Luol Deng's the guy. On to the big men. Shout out to Raptors fans, you got Patrick Patterson, a not as good version of Draymond Green, hits 3-pointers, really should be starting for the Raptors, makes contributions on defense as well, a nice guy to have. We also have David West, who was in San Antonio, now he's going to Golden State to chase a ring. Can always hit a 15-footer, tough guy inside, tough guy everywhere really. And even at his age, he can still happily give me 20 minutes a game. But our starter is going to be Marvin Williams. I said Patrick Patterson's not as good as Draymond. Marvin Williams is in the same vein, but he's a little bit closer to the Golden State small ball 4 because he's a really quality defender. He can switch on pick and rolls and defend guys. He can hit the 3-pointer. Marvin Williams is a nice piece for the 4, and the backup is going to be Taj Gibson, who may not be as good as David West from mid-range, but he's still capable from there if left open, but he is a fantastic defensive player around the basket. Still one of the best in the league in that area. If only he was a little better offensively, he'd be a definite starter, but now for some guys we haven't mentioned yet. Will Barton was really inefficient the majority of the year for the Denver Nuggets. That's not going to cut it. Al-Farouq Aminu is a fine defender, and he may have improved on his 3-ball a bit, but he still struggles offensively. Jared Dudley's as slow as molasses, and Josh Richardson, as well as Tyler Johnson, are going to have to put in full seasons for the Miami Heat before they can be on this list. And Damari Carroll would have definitely made this 2 years ago, but he shot under 40% for the Raptors, and as much as I love Amir Johnson for his defense and his hustle, he really can't do much for you offensively unless he's wide open under the basket. Now for the center spot, I thought Tristan Thompson was going to have this wrapped up when I thought of this video for the starting spot because he's really grown as a player for Cleveland, and he's embraced the defense and the grit and grind role for them, as well as his relentless pursuit of every single offensive rebound. But he's going to be the backup in favor of Steven Adams, who I think how good he is at just being big around the basket for Oklahoma City, rim protection. We saw what he did against Golden State in the conference finals. I mean, he's like the perfect center to go against that team. And he's good enough offensively, so I think Steven Adams is your starting center with Tristan Thompson as the backup. And now for a recap, George Hill is not going to make many mistakes, and he's always going to keep the offense running at the point guard spot. Alan Crabb made me get over my man crush of Courtney Lee just a bit to make him the starting 2. Andre Iguodala is the captain, the starting small forward, and my favorite player. Marvin Williams is going to be making some Draymond Green-like plays, although he's still not going to be Draymond Green at the small ball 4. Steven Adams is going to be muscling dudes up at the center position. That sounded a little weird, but I'm going to keep it in there. Patrick Beverley is our backup point guard for his defense, and hopefully he can make a couple shots for us. Manu Ginobili can still put the ball on the floor, can still make some plays. Shout out to him at the 2 guard. Luol Deng allows us to lose not much when we take Andre Iguodala out of the game. Taj Gibson and Steven Adams together could be a hell of a backcourt if Taj Gibson enters the game as the 6th man. And Tristan Thompson is going to grab every single rebound you could ever dream of off the bench. However, we do still have 3 wild cards. 3 guys who I still want to put into the lineup. And it starts with Joe Johnson for his ability to just score the ball. Simple as that from everywhere. John Henson is going to be the other one because he is a fantastic defensive player who just couldn't get in over Thompson or Adams. And then finally, you know I had to put Courtney Lee in here. I mean, so there you are, the role player all-star team. I'm pretty sure this team wouldn't win more than like 25 games in 2K. But that's alright. Showing some love to some role players, and I'm done.